I'm Tom Layson, and this is a Northwest Now Digital Extra. Northwest Now recently welcomed State Superintendent of Public Instruction Chris Reykdal to our studios to talk about the start of the 2021 school year and the ongoing COVID pandemic. But we also talked about another highly controversial issue involving the schools, critical race theory. You read your social media and you think the end of the world is coming, that the critical race theory is going to be hammered into all of our kids and all the things that may or may not entail, depending on your perspective on that. What is the truth about critical race theory in the state schools and in the state of Washington? What's your take on that?
Yeah, first of all, we have to just recognize that this phrase, critical race theory, is now a brand. It's a brand for things that people don't want around all things trying to teach racial equity and racial justice. If it was just a Washington thing or something unique happened here, we wouldn't be seeing it in 49 other states. It's a national movement to try to put a different spin on the work. Here's the truth. Nothing changed in the state of Washington. No new laws passed. There's no mandate around anything called critical race theory. What we have always done in our state, however, is try to compel the education system to say, don't take one source. If you take a traditional textbook, you're going to get a version of history that is not inclusive of all voices. It's not going to be equitably delivering a perspective on the impact of Native Americans or African Americans or low-income communities or Irish immigrants or you name a group of folks in our history. It's trying to get social studies, civics teachers, English language arts teachers, all educators, to help recognize that our history is more complex and we drag some of our history with us. So a Civil War did not end racism. The 13th Amendment did not end racism. Jim Crow laws fading in the South did not end racism. These institutions stay with us. And we see it in ways today, whether it's lending, whether it's housing programs, there's other things. And it's not about shaming. It's not about trying to differentiate races. It's about recognizing that our history is complex and it always needs multiple perspectives. And we've been doing this for decades. But now it comes with a brand and a culture war trying to vilify school districts and school boards and policymakers and educators. And it's sad and it's frustrating because I know we live in this time where everyone's monetizing and profiting from anger and rage. And this is just the latest thing that a lot of groups have picked. There are sincerely people who want to know, so what is it we're teaching kids? And parents should ask that of their school boards and their superintendents. What is the curriculum? What materials do you use? And when they look at it, they're all looking at it going, this is it? This is what the outrage is about? Yeah. You're teaching multiple perspectives on history? And the answer is that's what it is.
And I think too, among the legitimate concerns that I view as not the profit-driven brand building association that you I think rightly talk about when it comes to social media and monetizing outrage, but I think a thinking person can have some concerns about whether exercises and education is going to serve to unite students or divide students. And just a certain amount of awareness may naturally tend to divide and give hopefully people kind of that, hey, wait a minute moment. But by the same token, our goal is this, not this. I think that's a little bit of a concern. How do you address that and what's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I think the goal is unity that comes through understanding. And sometimes that means looking in the mirror saying, so where do I have advantages that cause me to have to think intentionally about bringing my peers along or creating more equity? Where do I have disadvantages? Where am I struggling? And there are obvious things like financial resources. The fact that you have to load up a $200 backpack with materials on your first day as a 5-year-old is a systemic problem in the system, right? That immediately puts low-income families at a disadvantage when we start school. That's not finger pointing. That's not saying somebody's terrible because they have resources. It's saying, ooh, there's an institutional problem with equal access on the first day of school. So when you start thinking about it that way, well, where does it being white, where's that been an advantage? Just all the data and disproportionality around, I'm going to get that interview and somebody else isn't. I'm going to get that job and somebody else isn't. And so watching that through history, bringing that history and saying, okay, can we just really acknowledge where we have barriers and where we have privilege and having honest conversations about that? I think that is the uniting factor. That's what brings us forward, but it's hard. Sometimes that's really uncomfortable. And there are other folks who just want to say, everything's better now. It's not like it used to be. Let's just stop talking about it. But these things are about humans, and when humans can create and solve, they can create a new problem that needs solution. And so it isn't about getting to the mountain and saying we're done. It's about an ever vigilant focus on equity, whether it's race, disability, income, you name it. We've always got to have the dialogue. Where are the barriers? Where do I have advantages? And how do I help people come along?
Superintendent Reykdal, thanks for coming to Northwest Now.
Thank you.
To see our full discussion about the new school year and other topics involving education, be sure to look in the Northwest Now digital section of kbtc.org. Northwest Now airs Friday nights at 7:30 right here on KBTC. And be sure to look for more digital stories like this one by following us on Facebook and Twitter at Northwest Now.